What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 144th edition of the Sports Reality. My name is Jeremy John, a.k.a. the fourth greatest Grenadian of all time.
Perfect.
A.k.a. the Little Wayne of podcasts, because I will get on any podcast and hit it with the J train.
Perfect.
Let's welcome my boy, BigThad. BigThad, what's going on?
What up, folks? What's going on? Look,
Doing
man,
good,
you and this fourth greatest thing. We've talked about this plenty of times.
I don't see.
We're
I don't see what the issue is. Before you continue, because I think we need our guests to also chime in on this.
no doubt.
Last week, we had one of our cousins, Cousin Pat, came on. Obviously, Thad, you are Cousin BigThad. We got another cousin, Cousin Rich, and he's a cousin because he's from Trinidad, so everyone from Grenada is related to somebody in Trinidad. Rich,
basically. What up? What's good, fellas? What's going on?
Hey,
now, Rich, you have a problem with me calling myself the fourth greatest Grenadian of all time?
I mean, man, I could think of 5 right now off the top of my head.
See? That's what I'm talking about.
Like, I can come up with 5 off the top. So wait, when you say the fourth greatest, who are 1 through 3? Just so I know why you rank yourself where you do.
Number 1 is Lewis Hamilton. When you dominate a white sport continuously, like auto racing, you got to be number 1. And your connection with Rihanna, come on, you got to be number 1.
Okay.
Number two is the Mighty Sparrow. I know Trinidad.
Okay.
Mighty Sparrow, created a genre pretty much.
Okay.
And then Henry Christophe, who led the Haitian Revolution that allowed Haiti to be the first black nation in the Western Hemisphere. You're number 3. I'm number 4. Like, that's where it is.
So you've ranked yourself amongst Henry Christophe, Mighty Sparrow. That's where you're. Got it.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from. I'm not even gonna argue it. I see, right? Look, because you've set the tone for why you've ranked yourself the way you have. So I realize that there's nothing I could say that will mess with that pedestal in any way. So you got it.
Karani James used to be 4th, but when he did not win in 2016, it was just 2012. It was just the London Games. He just got 1 gold medal. So I mean, he went down to 5. I'm up 4. And I'm
literally the only Grenadian ever to get an Olympic gold medal, and he's he's in track.
Track is not yourself. Right. You rated yourself higher.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the crazy part, that you're still rating yourself higher.
See,
but like I said, when I saw the rankings and how and who you ranked above you, I realized nothing I could say is going to change your perception of where you stand. So, 4th greatest it is, bro.
Rich, before we continue, you are one half of the Guys Unpacked podcast. Let the listeners know what that podcast is about.
The Guys Unpacked Podcast started with me and my boy Dre, also known in the DMV area as DJ Hazard. And basically, the podcast it's our group chat brought to the masses. We take the topics of the day, whatever's going on in pop culture, politics, sports, you name it. If it's popping, if it's funny, if it's entertaining, if it's something worth discussing, we'll discuss it. So we're on, right now, we're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast, you can find us at Guys Unpacked. And all of our social media is Guys Unpacked. That's GUYS Unpacked, UNPACKED. Real easy to find.
All right. Make sure you guys check that out. Subscribe where podcasts available, and of course on YouTube. Very good podcast. 4 episodes in, and I said it on the YouTube comments. I was like, "Yo, 2 minutes into episode 1, I'm like, oh, this is my type of show."
Once I saw the bottles on the table, I was like, it's gonna be on.
It starts off real cool and then it definitely swings left, but we keep it professional. It is not for the children. We do not hold back on the comments, and sometimes that means not holding back on the language. So it's definitely not for the kiddies. But if you want to hear some adults discuss some topics and put our slant on it, check us out, Guys Unpacked.
That's what's up. We got a lot to get into for this week's show. We're going to recap Super Bowl 55. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know it was Super Bowl 55 until, what was it, sometime last week. I was like, what number are we on? But anyway, Super Bowl 55 against between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll also talk about other things in the NFL like Deshaun Watson and Brett Favre and his comments. We'll also get into quarterbacks potentially on the move this offseason. And, of course, the very controversial, quote-unquote controversial, hype video with America's team. We'll also get into the NBA. We'll discuss the potential All-Star weekend. We'll also get into our sports-free zone where we discuss a little bit about the impeachment trial and Gorilla Glue woman or Gorilla Glue girl, just to make it Triple G. And then we will wrap up the show with our part 2 of Black History in Sports. I just want to remind you all to subscribe to the podcast where podcasts are available. That includes Apple, Anchor, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Just subscribe to the podcast. Wherever you want to check us out, listen or watch, pass the word, leave a review so we can grow and reach more people. Let's now get to the NFL, talk about Super Bowl 55. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are victorious. They won 31-9 behind Tom Brady, who was the Super Bowl MVP, and a dominant defense. And before we start really digging into the game, Rich, what was your prediction of the game?
Oh, so full disclosure, as a longtime Pats fan, I went heart over head on this one. I predicted the Bucs would win, but I wouldn't put money on it. Like I had, my mind was telling me that the Kansas City Chiefs had everything they needed to beat them. Even I didn't think it would be the same kind of beating they got early in the season, even though the beating early in the season wasn't even all that ridiculous. At the final score wasn't, but I thought they would win. But my heart was like, yeah, but I'm a still ride with TB12. So I did pick the Bucs.
I know last week I predicted that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to win 27-23. I thought it was going to be close. Thad, you said it was going to be like 31-28?
31-28, yeah.
31-28. Chiefs were going to win. So, Rich, you were correct.
No, I said Buccaneers were going to win, not the Chiefs.
You did?
No.
No.
I'm gonna have to rewind. I can't remember. But I remember mine. I was wrong.
Right. Definitely my score was 31-28 though.
You got 31 right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, he got 2/3 of it right. He got the win and he got one of the scores. Look, I couldn't even call the score for this game. I thought it was going to be much higher. I thought they were both going to be in the 30s because I anticipated a shootout. I anticipated a high-scoring game on both sides of the field. I did not think based on history, you could not convince me that Patrick Mahomes was only going to score 9 points. So
and not throw a touchdown.
And not a single touchdown.
You know what I'm saying? Not a single touchdown.
Although in fairness, he threw 2 touchdowns at least. They just caught.
And they were crazy throws too.
And they were hit in the end zone, right in the face between the hands. So he threw 2 touchdowns. They just didn't bring him down.
Now let's start with that. The Tampa Bay defense. I know last week Thaddeus and I said that both defenses are decent, but we did mention that the Bucs were significantly better than the Chiefs, and they showed it with their pass rush. They were really most of the game sending 4 and still getting enough pressure on Patrick Mahomes. And then there were times where they mixed up the blitzes. Mahomes was not comfortable at all. And that was something I was definitely not expecting, that he was going to be uncomfortable the whole game. Rich, you watched the game. Thad, you watched the game. If I asked you all how many times he was sacked, what would your answer be?
Actually sacked?
Yes.
I think he was only sacked twice.
Thad, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it was either 2 or 3 sacks, but he was hurried pretty much every single play.
Yeah. So you all are both spot on. It was 3 times he was sacked.
Yeah.
But watching that game, it didn't feel like it was 3 times. It felt like it was the body bag game from the 90s where you're getting hit every play of the game. You had Shaq Barrett, you had JPP, you had Ndamukong Suh, and then the secondary.
And
Vita Vea. Yep. Vita Vea was out there wreaking havoc. And that was one thing Shaq Barrett mentioned after the Packers game, the conference championship game. He mentioned that Vita Vea, who was out for weeks before that game, was really key for that defense. That was huge. Now, Tom Brady, he had a very good game. Tom Brady was 21 for 29, which, statistically is really good. A little over 200 yards, and he had 3 touchdowns, I believe.
He had 3 touchdowns. 2 to Gronk, one to AB.
So the newcomers on Tampa got the touchdown receptions.
And Fournette. So all of the newcomers.
Mm-hmm. True, I forgot on the ground. Fournette definitely got that one. In that crazy side note that the Jacksonville Jaguars not only released them, and look, they're the Jaguars. They won one game a year. I wasn't expecting them to win a whole bunch, even with Fournette, but they released him and really tried to tarnish his name on the way out.
Oh, yeah. Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of the playbook when you're trying to justify why you would release someone who still has some potential in them. And, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they were playing for the number 1 pick this year. So
no doubt about it.
So they weren't going to say, hey, we're releasing so-and-so because we want to be trash this year. So, of course, if there's any kind of issues, they're going to bring him up to, like you said, tarnish his name to justify them getting rid of him with the mindset that, guys, we're in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. So they did what they could to get themselves in a position to win the draft battle, basically.
But my thing is this, and that's the difference between a good and a bad franchise. There have been guys who have been released because either the finances don't work or they want to go a different direction, and they just say, "Hey, we're just parting ways, and we're gonna go in a different direction." It was like they made it almost a thing to like bring up stuff that almost didn't even matter to the game of football to really make him look bad.
Oh, absolutely.
And teams passed up on him and it ended up being Tampa Bay Buccaneers that signed him.
And absolutely. I mean, great point, because it does show the mark of a good or a bad organization. Oftentimes you don't hear those stories until a while after, and that's like, it'll be like exclusive interviews with sportscasters with connections will tell you, look, this is what I was hearing out of that locker room. I think my personal opinion was childish, but it was also kind of they didn't want to say we're tanking, right? So they didn't want to give a reason for giving away pieces that could help them win. Not to say Leonard Fournette was Adrian Peterson in his prime or anything, but just, if we're going to get rid of you because we know we don't want to win, and we might have had some legitimate issues with you, we're going to use that as the excuse rather than just keep that, because they could have kept it in-house. Everything they said could have been absolutely true. Then they could have kept it in-house and decided, hey, we just go in a different direction, like you said. So I think they wanted to distract from the fact that they were about to tank on purpose. Because, that is, even though people knows it happens, it's still taboo to say, hey, we're going in the season with the intentions of winning one game tops. So right? It's not a good way to start the season. Hey guys, we're aiming for 1-15, if that.
Right.
Now back to Tom Brady. Tom Brady's won his 7th Super Bowl in 10 chances. The interesting thing about the 3 losses he had came against the 2 quarterbacks that they came against. Eli Manning and Nick Foles. But he's had a great career.
The NFC East got him. That's his weakness. That's his kryptonite. The two Giants and 1 Eagles. He can't seem to get over the NFC East for some reason. At least not in the Super Bowl. He can't.
Right.
Tom Brady 7-3 in the Super Bowl. 7 Super Bowls in 20 years.
20 years.
I want you to state it. Is he the greatest of all time to you, Rich?
That there was no question of that maybe 3 Super Bowls ago. So everything like 5, 6, and 7 have just been icing because, like, for me, when you look at who he was being compared to, Joe Montana, right? The greatest of all time at the time was, everyone would say, was Joe Montana. And Joe Montana had an amazing career. He had some consistency at that key wide receiver position.
Mm-hmm. Wide receiver, running back, consistency, and head coach.
Right. Tom Brady won with, there's no one on that 4th Super Bowl team that was on that 1st Super Bowl team.
Right.
He's won, and when you look at his winning percentage, you look at just how deep he would get into the playoffs every year, even when he did not win. And it was always a different team. He made household names out of Deion Branch, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Ben Watson. Like, he took people who did not really thrive or flourish outside of that system and made household names out of them. So if you're asking me, he was the GOAT 3 Super Bowls ago. This right here is for anyone who still had the inclination to say something like the system or Belichick or anything. If you had any of those thoughts still in your head, this was for you guys. Like, this is to get the last few people on the bandwagon. Like, all right, what can you? He's not. You can't say it's the AFC East. He's not there anymore. You can't say it's the AFC. You can't say it's Belichick or the system. And in fact, what he did in a lot of ways was expose. And I'm not going to claim credit for this take. I heard it and it made sense to me. He exposed the weakness of Bill Belichick as a GM, not as a coach, but as a GM.
Yeah, definitely.
Because he showed basically that he was making things work that probably would not have worked otherwise. And Bill Belichick had an inability to continually keep top tier talent around him. But he just made the offense work with what he had. He got Gronk, he did have Randy Moss for a time, but no one was beating down the doors for Julian Edelman. You know what I mean? No one, and that was his guy. Wes Welker was his guy. Wes Welker was okay before him and okay after him.
Right.
He was a star in that offense. So I think the debate has been put to rest. I don't think it was ever a debate, but if there was still one prior to last Sunday, I think it's over now.
I was one of those people that said he's the most accomplished quarterback ever, most accomplished single player. But there was times where I was just like, a couple of those Super Bowls came with some controversies. A couple of those Super Bowls came with like some ridiculous things that were not even in the control of Tom Brady.
Absolutely.
That ended up going in his favor. And then just obviously like even like just the eye test of literally throwing the ball and other feats, other attributes. But like you said, when you win, it's not just the 7th Super Bowl, it's going to another team, going to another offense. Yes, that offense had weapons, but they hadn't made the playoffs. You literally came to a team that had Mike Evans. Yeah, it came to a team that, yes, you added Leonard Fournette, but for most of the year, he wasn't even the lead dog.
He was a non-factor.
Antonio Brown missed the first 8 games through the suspension. Rob Gronkowski really didn't get going until
non-factor.
October, November, because he was coming out of retirement. And then when you look at the run that they go on, they go against the Washington football team that has a good defense. They go into New Orleans,
in New Orleans,
in the Super Bowl, in the Superdome, go head to head there, and then you go up against Aaron Rodgers. And yes, that game might have been shaky, but overall the team did well. And then in the Super Bowl, I mean, he pretty much played a perfect game when you think about it. Like we can't really identify marks of the game where it's like okay, he made something like he did something wrong. Like no, Tom Brady did his thing. And then when you combine that with now it's 7 that he's won at the age of 43, I believe. Like
43.
You got to give him the crown there that he is the greatest of all time. I'm actually glad that he won the 7th not in New England, because I don't have a problem with the Patriots themselves. Boston sports fans annoy me. So I'm just glad that it ended up being, another team, because I can't stand Boston sports fans. So yeah, he is the greatest of all time. We're seeing greatness. Do I think he could continue? I mean, he seems healthy.
I mean,
we could bring that up a little bit in the segment, but he is the greatest of all time. Patrick Mahomes, on the other hand, ultimately, you could say the team or he's part of the team, so you got to say didn't play well. We mentioned earlier, he was pressured literally the entire game, made some great efforts, but also came short. We mentioned that no touchdowns in the game. This is the second playoff game that he has lost against Tom Brady, so he's 0-2 in the postseason. There are some people who are sitting there saying that now, because Patrick Mahomes lost this Super Bowl, that he has no chance of ever being the greatest of all time. Thad, what do you have to say about that?
Well, yeah, I found that kind of hilarious because I think it was Tony Romo I heard it from. He was talking about how, if Mahomes loses this Super Bowl, it's going to be so much harder for him to catch up to Tom Brady and surpass him to be the greatest of all time. This guy has literally, this Super Bowl is his 10th loss ever in his career. This young kid. So what are you talking about? He's going to be, I'm pretty sure, I'm already calling now, they're going to be back in the Super Bowl. I'm calling it right now. And it's early. I think they're going to be back. I want to say the team let him down with their play. But then again, on the other side it's him. He's a quarterback. He's going to take everything. Everything that's wrong with the team, he's going to take it. That's your job. And he's going to take it how it is. But, I mean, he has time. He has, another 10 years?
I mean,
in Kansas City?
10 years on that, in Kansas City.
Yeah.
He still has another 10 years in Kansas City. His money, like I said last week, the money that he's taking is not going to hurt Kansas City because per year is not even ridiculous. So they're going to have time to get more players, get better players. Like unlike other teams in the league where they can maybe get 1 or 2 big time players and it's people from the street. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to be fine. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be back next season. They're probably going to have the best record in the league again next season. And it's still got time. He still has so much more time to go to catch up. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what they're talking about, especially Romo. And that's your boy. You know what I'm saying? That's your boy.
That is my boy. But he was. I heard him when he said that last week, and I was like, this doesn't make sense. So he's gonna be 1-1, and somehow he cannot. Like what? I'm also of the belief you don't have to win. Like for example, in basketball, I believe Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time, but there's a guy named Bill Russell that has 11 rings in 12 opportunities.
Look, man, you got Big Shot Bob, Robert Ory, who has more championships than Jordan, but you're not going to call him the greatest of all time by any means.
So I think, and that's how I feel about like Mahomes. He still has a chance. Now it gets a little harder, especially when you have people who are going to remember, hey, you lost against Tom Brady. It's going to get harder, but it's
right. If you tie him in championships, that's going to be the tiebreaker right there. Your face-to-face battle against him. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I disagree with both of you, right? I don't think I'm not going to go as far as to say never, but I think that the gap to catch Tom Brady, right, and to ever be considered the GOAT goes beyond just championships, because Mahomes is immensely talented.
Right.
And he's easily more talented than Tom Brady. I don't think anyone can question that. His ability to throw, the type of throws that he can make accurately are incredible. He's mobile and he's just learning. He's young. This is only his third year as a starter. The problem is, it is so difficult for even the most immensely talented player to have success in this league, because so many things have to happen. So when we can use Russell Wilson as an example, because I saw a parallel today that showed basically Russell Wilson's first 3 years as a starter in Mahomes, where like first year lost in the playoffs, second year won a Super Bowl, third year lost to Tom Brady, both of them, right? And then you look at where Russell Wilson is right now, and it's not taking anything away from Russ. It's still an immensely talented player, but it's hard to maintain a certain level of excellence as a team because so many things have to go right. And so many things have to go wrong around you, that your greatness is measured by your level of success. The odds of Mahomes being able to, because remember, Tom Brady has been attached to a level of success that's been unparalleled for 20 years. He has the best winning percentage in sports, him as a person. Other players have come and gone from that New England Patriots team. He has been the one standing. And then when he leaves, the team goes back into the toilet. Those are the things that people are going to remember about Tom Brady, that the book is yet to be written on Patrick Mahomes, but just the type of trajectory his career would have to be on. He can have a great 3 or 4 years, right? At the mountaintop, 3 or 4 years. I don't think that would put him in the conversation to be the GOAT, because Tom Brady has done it for 20 years. And everyone's going to remember that this was a 20-year run of sustained accomplishments, despite who he had around him. So I think this loss kind of put Mahomes it put him in a great deficit, because now he's starting from further back than he was yesterday, that he was on Saturday. Now a win, because even a win would have still been an almost insurmountable hill to climb, because everybody would have been like, well, Brady's 43. You beat him in the tail end of his career. You know what I mean? Right. So even if he won, I don't think it would have done that much to help his case for becoming the GOAT. But I just feel like this Tom Brady thing, it's one of those things where, like you said with Michael Jordan, to use your example, right now LeBron is going to eclipse MJ on every statistical category. And I'm with you. I believe Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, right? I believe even if LeBron wins 7 rings, I will still think Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. Just because watching him play, I think Michael Jordan was a more dominant force, not just a force on the court, than LeBron is. I think LeBron right now is a little too dependent on whoever. Like, he's a little too dependent on the other people, and it's part of his personality as a player. Like, he's very pass first. He's very get other people involved. So he won't be viewed as dominantly as Jordan did, who was there will be no question who won this game. I was the reason we won this game. Jordan did not leave anything. You never thought, oh, well, he wouldn't have won if not for Pippen, or he wouldn't have won if not for. No, it was always, they won because of Michael Jordan. So I don't know. I don't see Mahomes being able to do it. I think it's going to take a lot of things going right over a long period of time for him to get there.
Man, oh man. We could go on forever with this topic, and that was the great thing about this game. There were so many different storylines. We'll get into a little bit more later. Let's move on to Brett Favre and his comments about Deshaun Watson, basically telling him to just play football because you make a lot of money. So don't worry about the front office and what they do. You just got to deal with everything that's going on. I saw that as very hypocritical because we know what Brett Favre did in Green Bay and in New York and in Minnesota.
Right.
And he had a totally different tune, when he was one of the highest paid players in the league and still was like, man, organization needs to do this. And I remember specifically he had an issue with Javon Walker. Y'all remember Javon Walker?
Yeah.
Javon Walker was trying to get paid. He had one of his last, I think he had 3 years where he was like one of the top receivers in the league, wanted to get paid. He said, nah, Javon, you got to show up to mini camp and off-season workouts and don't worry about the money. It'll come. And like week 1 of the regular season, messed up his knee, wasn't the same since, literally missed out on like $20 to $30 million because he didn't get the money before the injury. And now he's talking about Deshaun Watson, who is dealing with the organization that is like terrible right now, being terribly run, that has let Bill O'Brien sell away all their pieces, and had Deshaun out here playing with the skeleton crew and still put up good numbers, but it wasn't enough to win. And now you're telling him to just pretty much shut up and play. Also, Dick Vermeil chimed in and said, oh, well, if you want to control the team, then why don't you go buy a team, which is just one of the stupidest arguments.
Oh, yeah. That's that if you don't like it, leave the country mentality.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. Deshaun Watson, he's obviously saying that, he wants out. Another quarterback that surprisingly made a hint of wanting out yesterday was Russell Wilson. Who would have thought that Russell Wilson would have said, yeah, I kind of want to get out of Seattle?
So I think what a lot of people, it's kind of like the LeBron effect when KD, Ray Allen got together, formed that super team in the Celtics, and LeBron couldn't beat him, so he went down, took his talents to South Beach, right? And formed an even more super team than what they had, because he went down there with guys in their prime, where KD, Ray Allen, and them were kind of coming down. They were on the downward. They still had a lot in the tank, but just not quite as much as in their prime. When you get these quarterbacks seeing what Tom Brady just did, right? It's kind of where you get that, because remember, Aaron Rodgers kind of hinted at it. And now Russell Wilson kind of hinted at it. And they may not actually move, but they might be there. It might be signaling to the organizations that, hey, look, they went out and gave Tom Brady everything he wanted. They said, we don't want AB. He's not going to fit in our system. Tom said, we want AB. They were like, hey, we want AB. They went out and got Gronk. They got if Tom wanted it, remember when they started, they weren't playing any play action. They were playing Bruce Arians' system. Tom was like, hey, if you want to win, this is what we got to do. We need some run. We need some play action. I need some motion. I need to be able to read the defense. No one can read the defense like me.
Let's keep it simple, pretty much.
Right. So you got guys like Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, who, again, they're the face of those franchise, and they may stay, but while we never thought they would even think about leaving, they're looking at this guy who we never thought would leave New England, go somewhere else and flourish. So they're looking at this like, well, is there a team in the league that maybe I could walk into, right, that basically has all the pieces in place and all they need is a quarterback? Imagine Russell Wilson going to a team set up like that, going somewhere like San Francisco, right? A team that's basically set up to win minus a quarterback, whereas you got Seattle, which isn't quite there. He's looking at his future and his legacy, because winning a Super Bowl is great, but then you see now, because of, again, people like Tom Brady, that one Super Bowl now isn't quite cement your legacy the way winning multiple does when you have that level of multiple championship talent. So it's not inconceivable, but Russell, I believe he's calling their bluff and trying to say, hey, guys, if you're not going to bring the pieces here,
I'm leaving.
Right. Don't think leaving is not an option. I'm letting you know it is an option. Don't get comfortable with my presence and think Russell ain't going nowhere. Like, no. Make this work, or you might be looking for a quarterback, and you're not getting a top draft pick either. So figure it out.
And the wild thing is, unlike other quarterbacks that say, "Oh, I need receivers, I need tight ends," he's really asking for some offensive line help because he's been hit so often. He's like, yo, can I just actually get some guys who can block for me?
Listen, well, that's the thing. It all starts on the O-line. Quarterbacks know it, receivers know it, running backs know it. Like, the guys that get the least credit when things go right are really the ones that, because look, we saw it in the Super Bowl. If you can, if I can get to you, like Todd Bowles gets a lot of credit and he deserves it. But let's be real. If you can get to the quarterback with your front four and you can drop everybody else in coverage, your day as a defensive coordinator gets really, really easy.
Oh, yeah.
Because the sky's the limit. You don't got to blitz much. You create pressure with just the guys up front. So, of course, Russell Wilson's like, look, I just don't need to run for my life on every play. Let me get 3 seconds to look at the field and pick a receiver. That's all I'm asking for.
Yep. Another quarterback that may be on the move, Carson Wentz, has already. I mean, we kind of thought he was going to want out of Philly, but he's already made it known that he wants out. Made it publicly known. He also, reports came out that he asked for the trade literally, I think, the day before, the day after Doug Peterson was fired. So it looks like he's about to be out of there. Thad, which team do you think will be a good fit for Carson Wentz?
Chicago.
What about you,
Rich?
The
Bears.
What about you, Rich?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I would, if he's going to be the Carson Wentz that from years back, I would like to see him go to the Patriots, and I'll tell you why. Because I feel like he can bring a dynamic that they desperately need in New England. Like, they need to get out of this pocket passer only mentality, and not saying that Carson Wentz is Michael Vick, but he can at least, if he can be what he was when they were winning in Philly, I think that would be a good fit for him. Get him in a disciplined organization that's well run, and give him a chance to see if he can get back to that place.
I was thinking the Indianapolis Colts just because of familiarity with the head coach.
True.
Frank Reich. But you make a great point about the Patriots, structure, a very good head coach. Thad, you make a great point where the Bears have great offensive weapons in Allen Robinson and Tariq Cohen and who's a running back that did nothing for me the year before? David Montgomery did nothing in fantasy. I hate that. For fantasy purposes, I hate that. Those some good teams. Marty Schottenheimer unfortunately passed away yesterday. Marty Schottenheimer is the 7th winningest head coach and had a very good coaching career. Now, unfortunately, now that he's passed away, Thad, do you think he's going to eventually make the Hall of Fame?
I think so. I mean, I think he should, but they're going to do the whole posthumous. They're going to give it to him just from his passing.
What about you, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, like you said, although he doesn't have the Super Bowl, I think it's like Thad said. I think you get the sentimental vote. You know what I mean? Now that he's passed, I think they give it to him, and I think he deserves it. Like, again, I don't think it is all about Super Bowls. I think if you can put together consistent, winning seasons, maybe you didn't make it to the big game, but that big game isn't easy to make it to. So,
right.
Yeah, out of his 17 years as a head coach, 13 winning seasons.
Yeah, so
7th winningest head coach. Took teams like the Browns, who
the
were
Browns, right,
struggling, made them relevant. He literally had Elway with the drive to beat him, and then Ernest Biner fumbling on the 1-yard line to stop him from going to the Super Bowl. He had the Bills, teams that were going to 4 straight Super Bowls, stop him
right.
in his run. And then let's also not forget the 1 year with Washington where it started out real bad, went 0-5, but then went on a 5-game winning streak and ended the year 8-8.
And then gets fired by
And
good
then
old
But done stuff like that. 13 winning seasons in 17 as a head coach.
Yeah.
You got to get in. I'm sorry. I don't care if you didn't get to the big game. And then also the 14-2 season with San Diego and LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah.
And that run with that team. Yeah, he definitely has to get in. It's kind of sad that obviously
he won't get
to actually enjoy it, but hey, you know what? He should get in. Real quick before we get out of this segment, there are reports that the NFL is picking and choosing who they compensate when it comes to the CTE lawsuits. Two black NFL players are saying that black players are less likely to get compensation due to CTE in the CTE lawsuit. And the reason why is the researchers are using race forming. Race forming is pretty much incorporating norming. Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah,
thank you.
Gotcha.
I felt like I said it. I was like, I think I'm wrong. I'm gonna keep on going.
But you committed.
Yeah, I committed.
He's like, I'm committed.
Race norming, where they use race as a criteria when it comes to cognitive functions. And of course, that is biased because the thought is that anyone not white is already at a lower cognitive level. So when they look at the brains or the cognitive studies of these players who are filing complaints, they're basically saying, well, your cognitive levels were already at this level and we're seeing it at this level. We can't say that that's because of football and CTE. When compared to their white counterparts, they may see it, okay, well, you're up here, and then we see you drop down to here. Okay, now you're going to get it. So there have also been anonymous researchers and doctors who are working with the NFL that have said, yeah, the NFL is kind of pressuring us to do it this way and use race norming. So we're going to find out more about this as the months and years come about. But honestly, I'm not shocked that, in a league where it's been 70% black since the early 80s, where those who are actually getting compensated don't reflect the racial demographics of the league.
Right. Yeah. If you can, honestly, from a business perspective, if I can eliminate the bulk of these claims or reduce the number of claims from the largest majority of people, it saves me money. So I'm not surprised. I feel like, the NFL has a problematic history when dealing with race anyway, despite like the changes they've made on the surface. I think that they've already had a bit of a problematic history with race. So when I hear stories coming out about them regarding any kind of racial bias, things of that nature, they don't surprise me. But like you said, I'm going to wait and see how this one plays out in the long run. If they find any credibility, if they find this lawsuit to be credible, because I'm guessing right now it's just in the preliminary phases and it'll be litigated and we'll find out exactly what comes of it. I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of settlement in it and it's swept under the rug. You know what I mean? Like just not to have it stay in the news too long. Just be like, hey, look, let's just cut some checks and get this off everybody's radar real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Let's now get to the favorite team of the hosts, the fourth greatest Grenadian, the Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunately, bad news for me, and you all could enjoy my misery. The Dallas Cowboys did a hype video promoting next season. The only issue with the hype video, it did not have a single second of Dak Prescott in the video. So some people are seeing that as a slap in the face to Dak Prescott. Others are seeing it as a shot to Dak Prescott from the organization saying, hey, we want you here, but we could move on if we want. I've said this many times. If the Dallas Cowboys do not resign Dak Prescott, I will not be a Dallas Cowboys fan anymore. Don't want to get into that conversation today because that can last. I could do a TED talk on that. But the only other quarterback that I could think of that I'll be fine is if somehow you manage a trade with Deshaun Watson. You can appease me that way, but I still don't think even trading for Deshaun is really best for the team because the team is as bad as they were last year. They're still in a win now window with the players on the team. So you got to strike when the iron is hot. So that's the controversy with the Dallas Cowboys right now. Everyone else can laugh at me because, my team is trash. Rich, your team has won Super Bowls.
We made the playoffs. That's all that matters.
and y'all have a good head coach, and y'all are going in the right direction. And I said it even last year, even when they hired Ron Rivera, I said, "Yo, Washington, they going in the right direction."
Washington's defense is legit.
Yeah,
that defense is legit. If they get it right on the offense, they're going to be a problem.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see with my Dallas Cowboys. We have some more news to talk about with the NFL or with the Super Bowl, but we'll talk about it during our sports free zone, and you'll figure out why we did it during that segment. Let's now move on to the NBA. All-Star Weekend is being proposed, still being organized, and it looks like it's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia. The All-Star game was supposed to be in Indianapolis. It was supposed to be in Indianapolis. They then removed it from Indianapolis because initially they said, well, due to COVID, we're not going to have an All-Star weekend. Then, as things went on and people started looking at their pocketbooks, started realizing, we can make a lot of money having an All-Star game still. So All-Star game is going to be in Atlanta. Part of the reason why they chose Atlanta was because Turner is in Atlanta.
Right.
So they don't have to move all their equipment. You have to move, the production, everything is there. And then remember, of course, Atlanta, because it's wide open in Atlanta.
Right. Atlanta's COVID restrictions are non-existent. So they can get away with a lot in Atlanta that they probably couldn't get away with in some of these other states. So
Magic City.
And I was gonna say, listen, to be a worker in that industry in Atlanta, they're gonna be buying new houses and cars, all kind, because the money they're about to make in this All-Star game, the strip clubs are going to be off the chain.
Facts.
Guaranteed. All-Star weekend.
So yes, now there are some notable players that are like, yo, why are we having an All-Star game? Let's start with De'Aaron Fox. He was like, you know what? I don't like that we're having this during a pandemic, all the restrictions that we have already as players when we're on the road. Like now you're asking a large group of the league to go to one city. This doesn't make sense. He then mentioned, hey, but I may not even be selected to the All-Star game.
Right.
So it doesn't even matter.
Right, that's what I was about to say.
But then LeBron.
But then he's hold on. With De'Aaron Fox, real quick with De'Aaron Fox. First of all, he then said they asked him, well, if you get picked, will you go? He's like, of course I'm going to go because I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, he didn't want to get in trouble.
But then again, like you said, notable player. De'Aaron Fox isn't notable.
Right.
I'm gonna call that right now. De'Aaron Fox. He went to Kentucky.
Every team has a notable player. He is the one on the Kings. But
listen,
where they go?
Listen, I mean, let's be real though. if you got selected to the All-Star game and chose not to play because of COVID restrictions, do you think you would get in trouble? This, like, in all reality, I don't think. I think that's a cop out. Like, I don't think anyone. Could you imagine the PR nightmare for the NBA if a player was fined or suspended or whatever because they decided, hey, you know what? I'm glad I was selected, but I'm going to opt out because I don't think like that. Like, if you got in trouble for that, the PR nightmare the NBA would be facing wouldn't be worth the effort. I think anyone who chose to opt. So I'm not buying his cop out of, oh, of course I'm gonna get in trouble.
Right.
He would go if he got selected because I can say we shouldn't do it, but I'm gonna be in Atlanta if they pick me for the game. So
yeah, the Utah. Oh well, before we continue from that, even LeBron James, who is saying, why are we going there? I think LeBron James might be the only player in the league that if he were to actually say definitively, I'm not going to be there, because he didn't, even in his comments, he didn't say he wasn't going to be there. LeBron James is literally the only guy that if he said he's not going to be there, they not have an All-Star weekend.
Nah.
He's
that's like
the only person.
That's what I'm saying. Like with LeBron, like a player like LeBron, he's notable. Everybody knows LeBron. LeBron is the face of the NBA. There's no doubt about it. So like even when everything that went down in the bubble, and he was like, "Yo, if we're not going to play," when everything went down, he was like, "You know what? If y'all don't want to play, we're not going to play, but it will be them who makes the decision." You know what I'm saying? If LeBron says, "Yo, we're not going to play," and everybody's going to fall in line. Plain and simple. That's LeBron. So if LeBron definitely says, "Yo, let's not do this All-Star game," everybody's going to fall in line right behind him. They're going to be like, "Yeah, you can vote for us or whatever. If y'all still want to have the game, y'all can. But all of us, the true All-Stars of the league, we ain't going to be there."
Yep. Now, the Utah Jazz, they've been on a hot streak, and it's unfortunate that they are the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
People aren't really, people are talking about them, but not in a way that you would talk about a team that's won 10 plus games in a row. And they had another victory last night against the Boston Celtics. Donovan Mitchell, my goodness, he's having a very good year. And mind you, they won a lot of these games with Mike Conley being out of some of those games. Do you think, Thad, the Jazz can be that team where we say 5-10 years from now, man, LA, they got to the finals, but that Utah Jazz team almost got them. Do you think they could be one of those teams?
Yeah, definitely. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we had that with Denver last year in the playoffs. Nobody expected them. They're a solid team. Nobody said that they were trash or anything like that, but being in the position they were in, they were a very good team, just like the Utah Jazz is right now. Even the Utah Jazz last season was a very good team. So you can never say that they're not in the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got Steph and all them back again, but you can never discredit Utah or even a team like Denver not being in that conversation to, dethrone the champions. So they will be consistently in the topic.
Steph Curry dropped 57 against the Dallas Mavericks last Saturday night. Unfortunately, it came in a loss. And then the Warriors lost the other night against the San Antonio Spurs. I am not going to, because I know Thad has something to say about that game. So I'm just gonna let him wait. I know he's probably gonna mention it later. So
by far, yeah.
I'm gonna mention that later. But Steph Curry's playing, like, individually, he's playing pretty well, pretty good. Playing like Steph Curry, playing like he's back from the injury. I mean, even the game the other night, I feel like, I can't remember how much he scored, but he only played in 31 minutes. Played pretty well. He's doing good. Let's now get to the favorite teams of the hosts of the podcast. I'm frustrated with the Washington Wizards as usual, so I'm not even wasting time. They did win against the Bulls. They got to win against the Bulls.
Ooh.
And I retweeted a tweet that I tweeted, I think a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, where I said, you know, when the Wizards play defense, they win the game. And I was like, who would have thought? So I retweeted the same thing. They held the Bulls to, I think it was 101 points. And I'm like, yeah, that's because they played defense. And when you look at the stats, they didn't allow the Bulls to get second chance points. They out rebounded the Bulls. They win the game. Simple concept. It's so simple. But somehow a guy making millions of dollars in Scott Brooks, who's been in the NBA for years, he's been part of the NBA since the early 80s. I mean, the late 80s. Sorry. Still can't figure out a simple concept of, let me get my team in position to play better defense, and then we got a chance to win. So they frustrate me. Also Russell Westbrook, like, last week he wasn't injured, and now it's like he's still doing these not playing in back-to-backs. And I'm like, well, hold on. As bad as the Wizards are, they're still in a position to make the playoffs. And not just make the playoffs, they're still in a position where if you go on a 5, 6, 7 game winning streak, you're right there. You're in the middle of the pack of the Eastern Conference. So we have games that we can play and win. Like the season's not over. Also, because the Wizards missed 6 games, they still have games to make up that they can ultimately use to get into the playoffs. So I'm kind of like, yo, Westbrook, if you're healthy, I need you to play. I need you to play. Like, now, if he's injured, then let him heal. Then maybe give him 2 weeks of no game. So then you could get him for the last 40 or 35 games. But this whole thing where you're just not playing back-to-backs, like, come on, man. We're not in that position right now.
I think the load management thing has gotten a little out of hand, to be honest with you. But
it has. And look, this is the one time, there's very few times I side with leagues and organizations. I'm usually on the player's side. The NBA structured their season in a way where they said, okay, we're not going to start late October. We're going to start middle of October to stretch out the season. So you don't have as many back-to-back games. So you don't have as many 3 games in 4 nights, 5 games in 7 nights. They did this to help them out, and these players still like, yeah, I'm about to just take these load management games anyway. So I'm just like, yo, what do y'all want? Like, they already.
Well, remember, some of them had a very short. Like, the deeper you went into the bubble, the shorter your off season was.
I understand that for this season, but the same issues have been going on for.
Right. Yeah, that's what I said.
Isn't this season shorter?
It is shorter. It's 72 games instead of 82.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And I think how they were structuring it, like, if you're playing a team, you play that team 2 or 3 times, so you're not traveling back and forth. Like, you'll just play all your games against. So, I mean, like, look, if the Wizards are in a position to make the playoffs, right? And I'm Russell Westbrook, and I know I'm getting up there in years, I may want to save, myself for that. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what his mindset is, because he was never one of the load management guys in the past. So,
and that's why I think it's a Wizards thing and not a Rush thing.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
No, I mean, it makes sense, because, like I said, it has not been his MO till now. So.
The Los Angeles Lakers, it's the favorite team of my co-host Matthew White. LeBron James passed Wilt Chamberlain in field goals made. So that's another accomplishment for LeBron James. Another accolade that the LeBron stans can use. Mind you, I say LeBron stans, but I love LeBron too. He's one of my favorite basketball players of all time. He is the best basketball player in the league still to this day in week 18. I mean, year 18.
Yeah.
Year 18, still the best in the NBA. But it is another great accomplishment, and it is going to definitely help him in the argument of the greatest of all time. I even mentioned it several times. I said LeBron still has chances to as much as I love Michael Jordan, he still has chances to pass Michael Jordan in
See,
the category.
And see, the reason I think he does, why I don't think he will for me, and I don't think the GOAT debate is fair between Michael and LeBron, because I don't think you're never going to get agreement, because the LeBron people think he's already there. The Michael Jordan people think he never will be. I think why some of these stats for a lot of people don't matter, because these are longevity stats. Like these are more a testament to LeBron's staying in physical shape and being able and staying in the league. Where like, yeah, when you play for this long, you are going to accumulate points. You are going to accumulate field goals. You're going to accumulate 25-point games. I think he just hit like his 800th 25-point game. So it helps his case if you're just going to go from a pure number standpoint. But remember, Jordan didn't play nearly as long as LeBron is playing. So that, to me at least, and to a lot of people, diminishes the argument just a little bit, where you can say, yeah, he has the longevity, but for a lot of people, Jordan's peak was just so much higher. So.
Yep. Real quick, I just thought about this. LaMelo Ball. Have you been watching LaMelo Ball, Rich?
I've seen a couple of games. Like I haven't been paying close attention, but I've caught like stat lines and headlines after the games, and so I'm aware of what's going on over there with him.
Did you think LaMelo Ball was going to be as good as he's playing as of now?
Yes, only because before he got in the league, I was hearing all the hype, right, about how much better he was than his brother. And this was from not the hype from his dad, but from other people who were paying closer attention to him. So I would say I believed he was going to be a force. I believed he was going to be a legit player. I didn't know if he would be this good, but I did believe the hype. I did fall for it. And I was like, all right, well, let's see what the hype is all about. What took it away was the fact that Jordan agreed to sign him, because as great a player as Jordan was, he has not been a great owner or GM. So I was like, Jordan said yes. Maybe maybe let me dial this one back. I don't know anymore. That was the only knock on him. The fact that Jordan liked him, I was like, this may not be a good sign. So
Now wrap it up here for our NBA segment. Let's now get to some quick hitters. I do need to pull up the rundown because I honestly can't remember what I said. Oh, Trevor Bauer, he's going to sign he has signed with the Brooklyn Dodgers, Dodgers, Los Angeles Dodgers. So now they have Kershaw and Trevor Bauer to go on top with that World Series winning roster. They're probably going to be the favorites coming into this season. Other news. College football video game is coming back.
Yep.
I mentioned this on Twitter. I am a little torn because I loved the NCAA football game and I loved what EA Sports was doing with it. EA Sports announced it is coming back. They haven't announced a date. They haven't even announced
what year.
They haven't announced the year. They haven't even announced when they're going to announce what's going to happen. They just said, it's coming back. I'm torn because I really love the game.
So why are you torn?
I can't play the game knowing that the players, because they're saying as of now, the model is still going to be college athletes will not be getting paid anything for their likeness during the game. And what I don't want the game to end up being is, okay, because this is what it used to be. It used to be, let's take Auburn the year Cam Newton was there. Instead of the quarterback wearing number 1 like Cam wore, he might have wore number 3, but like the height, weight, everything.
Right. Yeah. I remember they wouldn't use they wouldn't actually use the names and stuff. So it would be like, and I'm with you on that. Like I feel like these universities are making so much off the backs of these players, and you can say student athlete all you want, but the reality is when some of these schools, it's like when the pandemic hit and schools were talking about how much money they were losing by not having sports. And you sat there and you thought about it like, well, if you're so dependent on sports for income, for revenue, that you're complaining about how much revenue you're losing by not having sports, then that's a problem with you as an educational institution. And you can no longer say that these are student athletes. And you should, since they are bringing in all this revenue, you need to start treating them like a source of income. And in most source of incomes, they get paid in some way. So yeah, I'm with you on that, where like I'm not a fan of how the student I get the whole you get an opportunity and you can get a scholarship and go to school for free and all this other stuff, but I'm like, you're making billions off the backs of their effort,
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I am a little torn because I'm like, man, I kind of want to play this game. And the thing about like the old game, yes, you had like current players in the game, but like the real thrill was when you were doing dynasty mode and you're in like year 5, 6, and 7, where it's like computer generated people and you're just kind of like, man, I'm trying to build this powerhouse. Or one thing I love to do with the game was to create a school, and eventually work my way up till I was like a true powerhouse and then win. And I want to do that, but it's like I can't do this knowing what I know now as an adult,
Right. It changes your perspective a lot.
And not only that, Thad could tell you this. I didn't watch college football this year because I said this is the year we should not be having college sports. I have not watched college basketball this year. I do not plan on watching March Madness this year because I'm like, of all the years, this should not be the year they should be playing when they're not getting paid. So.
Absolutely. And that, like I said, the notion of now, I know some of the parents, because I would listen to the news. I know some of the parents were encouraging because they wanted it, because they felt like, well, this is an opportunity for my kid. And I get that, and I feel like if the parents were for it, then I don't have a problem with it. But I agree with you. If there was a year to do it, it was this year.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. Let's now get into our champ and chump of the week. Rich, you are new to this. Every week we celebrate those who do well and we criticize those who do not. So I'm gonna start with you, Thad. Who is your champ of the week?
Champ of the week, I'm gonna have to go with Shady McCoy.
That one I wouldn't have thought of, but go ahead.
Because the reason why he's my champ this week is because he has won 2 Super Bowls in a row,
back to
back as the third string running back and not playing a play.
Not played a single snap in either. Either. I read that stat this morning.
I forgot
because we had the funny thing about this, Rich. We were talking about storylines to the Super Bowl last week, and we were talking about AB
Brown and Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. We completely forgot about Shady McCoy.
I saw it this morning, and it was like, back-to-back Super Bowl champ. Did not play a single down or snap. I was like, man.
And then I will also say Pierre Paul. You know what I'm saying? He's never lost a Super Bowl he's been in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He's lost some fingers, but no Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I heard he's not gonna be able to have no fingers to put them rings on. But.
Right. Oh man.
Oh man. Oh my goodness. Another person real quick that when you mentioned that was on the team, his name is, man, what is his name? I can't remember, but there's a kid that was in Last Chance U that was on the Buccaneers. He didn't play this year because he was injured. In Last Chance U, when he was a quarterback for the Eastern Mississippi Community College team.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But he's in the NFL. I had no idea he was in the NFL. He is on the Buccaneers. He didn't play in the game, but he got a Super Bowl.
He got a Super Bowl, and look, you can't take that ring away.
No. And don't get me wrong, it takes a lot of work just to be on a team. So
absolutely.
If you're on the team Super Bowl run, like, come on.
Yeah, you get a ring.
I mean,
My champ of the week has to go to obviously Tom Brady. Come on, seven Super Bowl wins in the fashion that he did it. You got to give it to him. Also, Bruce Arians. He finally got to be on the mountaintop this year. And then the fact that he was purposeful and has been very vocal about making sure that his coaching staff is representative of the league.
Absolutely.
Every coach on the team is either black or a woman.
Yep.
On the team.
Yeah.
Like, his 2 coordinators are black. And
strength and conditioning coach is a woman.
Coach is a woman. Yeah. And there's 2 women on the team, on the coaching staff. So yeah, Bruce Arians, you're my champ of the week. Big Thad. I think I know where you're going.
What for? What?
Who's your champ of the week?
It's still no. Oh, you know what? See, I don't know who my chump is yet.
Oh, I thought I knew.
No. Go for it.
My chump of the week has to go to the Kansas City Chiefs coaching staff. And okay, you're down going into the half, but it's like they ain't really trying to make any real adjustments.
Oh, and Andy Reid calling them timeouts was ridiculous. I don't even understand what those timeouts. No, the broadcasters didn't understand what the timeouts were for. Like, you're giving Brady more time to. Do you think you guys are getting this ball back?
Right.
So yeah, and that's the thing. Imagine if it was just 3 points they scored, or imagine if they don't score and time goes out. Chiefs actually have a real chance, but when you're down by that score, it's like now we're pressuring just to get back in. And then because they didn't score that touchdown on that first drive in the third quarter, it was like, this game may not be going in favor for the Kansas City Chiefs. And it hurts to say the coaching staff because Eric Bieniemy is one of the guys that calls the plays, but Andy Reid has to take some heat. Bieniemy has to take some heat. Not all of it, but he has to take some heat. And at some point, the defense has to have some pride and actually not try to get into a shouting match with Tom Brady and actually try and play the game. You had Tyrann Mathieu going off, and they got rattled. And offensive line is terrible, but we kind of knew with Fisher things were going to be a little different. And it sucks because he went down late in that game in the AFC Championship.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it sucks.
They never got a chance to adjust.
So Big Thad, I thought.
Yeah, I want to hear this. Who were you thinking?
I thought you were gonna say that what's his name? Draymond Green was gonna be.
Okay. All right. Now I know what you're talking about. I was like, see, I don't like Draymond. At all. So, I have a big thing with him now with, his whole stat line of being a triple single, all that good stuff. But now I remember what Jeremy's talking about here because I sent him I think it was either Reddit or Twitter video from the other night with Draymond Green, and the Warriors were down by 3.
Yes,
but they had like 7 seconds left to the game, and it's an inbounds play on their side of the court, and the pass goes to Draymond, and he just throws up a 3-pointer like he can make it. He literally threw it up, and like the closest player to him was kind of like running to him, but even if he was set, he still had time to put up a decent shot. No, he literally caught the ball and just threw it towards the basket, and everybody just kind of looked at him like, bruh, what are you doing?
What's going on?
Did you hear the excuse?
No, I didn't hear the excuse.
He said he thought he was going to get fouled, so he was like, I'm putting the shot up, forcing the referees to call the fouls, so I shoot 3. So that's why he like literally caught it and tried to throw it, but when he didn't get fouled,
it was just a terrible shot.
But bruh, you're not a 3-point shooter. You know what I'm saying? Nobody expects you to shoot a 3-pointer.
Right. You know what I'm saying? No one is coming to foul you beyond the 3-point line.
Nah.
If you're catching me on the 3-point line, I'm waiting.
The only thing maybe I could think of is that they would come up to him and just grab. Maybe that's what he was thinking, that they would maybe come up and grab him. You know what I'm saying? Just
right. But again,
but put up a decent shot at least. You know what I'm saying? He just like threw it up in the air, like it just went out of bounds.
Right.
Yeah, he's a chump. He's definitely a chump.
And let's now get into our sports free zone. Let's take a break out of sports. Rich, you been following this impeachment trial that started today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Honestly, this is one of the more frustrating things for me to deal with, because it's like when the Republicans have basically shown how they're going to vote. Like, I know some of them will say, well, listen, we may believe that it was unconstitutional to try him, but we're still going to be impartial. And I just don't believe that. That's not been the case with this party and how they deal with this ex-president. And I think that he just holds so much sway over them. Like, he holds so much power over the party still that they won't acknowledge and hold him accountable for things that he clearly instigated, and the evidence shows it. So, like, to me now it's just a farce. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to get 67 votes to convict him. So it's almost pointless now.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't think it's going to happen, because Republicans are Republicans, and they're just worried about themselves. So I don't think it's going to happen. But I think it's important that at least, actually, Trump and his supporters they're blindly Trump supporters. So no matter what
absolutely
put out there, I don't think it really matters.
Right. And so the problem is not even about trying to convince his supporters. Like, his supporters are who they are. And it's not even all of the Republicans. Like, he lost because a lot of Republicans were like, we don't want our party to be represented by this, which is why my problem isn't even Republicans. My problem are the people who, if you ask them on January 7th, they were ready to throw him out because they had just been under attack. But now that cooler heads have prevailed, and he has gotten his hooks back in them, they're like, well, I don't know. Maybe, can we really, you know what I mean? Like, there's stories like Lindsey Graham, some of these guys, their stories have changed so drastically since what actually happened, that I feel like they're more worried about losing votes than they are about making sure that he can't do this again. Because that's really what it's about. It is about making sure he can't hold public office again. And that should honestly be their agenda. Like, they should be trying to get out from under the thumb of Trump. They should not be the party of Trump, because now you can't take the Republican Party seriously anymore.
Nah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is the future of that party now if they remain the party of Trump. Like, that's the future of the Republican Party, is Marjorie Taylor Greene at the rate they're going. So I just
I went to Caribbean not Caribbean Market. I went to the Grill earlier today in Silver Spring. I was like, oh, I'm here. I'm in a rush. Let me go get a beef patty and a cocoa bread. I go inside. Mind you, this is about 3:45 p.m. They're like, we ain't got any beef patty. And I'm like, you're a Jamaican restaurant. How you not have beef patty? Like,
at 3:45?
In the middle of the day. Like, we're close to rush hours.
We can get to dinner yet.
Right. Like, we're hitting the let out from the club. What are you talking about?
Right.
People getting off work.
So then I was like, well, I walked over here. Let me just get a cocoa bread just to fill me up with something as I'm on my way out. Now, you all said before we started recording that there were things that you all would get in a situation where you're like, yo, I'm in a rush. I need a one-hand meal.
Right.
Rich, what would you have gotten?
I would now, I got to take this back. I didn't realize where you said you were.
I knew it, but go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Because I wasn't thinking. Because I said I'd have grabbed. Well, I didn't say it. Thad said it, but I agreed. I said I was like, I get a roti or something, and I agreed with him.
Okay, okay. So maybe I forgot to tell you where I went. Yeah. I did tell you a Jamaican restaurant. I did say that, right?
But that's the point. I didn't hear.
Okay. All right. That's
so that was in my because now,
and it gets to the hot take of mine.
Yeah.
I don't trust Jamaicans with rotis.
No, that's not even a hot take. That's a factual statement. Ain't no, that's not a hot take. That's a matter of fact. That is
that's the funny thing because I hear my Caucasian friends have they've been indulging into Caribbean foods more and more now. You know what I'm saying? So one friend of mine, she works in Laurel, so she's like, hey, should I do this or should I go to this place? I'm like, I don't trust y'all taste buds anyway. So
right.
Negrill's right there. Go for it. Enjoy yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, go get yourself a roti or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, go to Negrill. You're good.
Listen,
bruh. She came back to me. She's like, this was amazing. Amazing. And I was like, see, don't trust me.
Right. Well, listen.
Wrong with the grill. The grill is okay, and if you need a beef patty and cocoa bread, it's good. You want some curry goat? Okay, like it's fine. But if you want some roti, and of course they don't sell doubles, but if you want some roti, I'm not eating it from there.
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
Spot. I'm going to a Guyanese spot for some roti and some doubles. So Pelori, I'm not a Pelori's okay, but like,
you know what? And honestly, it's not their strength, right? Like, I'll be honest with you. Not that I don't trust it, but I'm not going to a Trini restaurant for jerk chicken. Not to say they can't make jerk chicken, but if I have to choose as a born Trini, I'm gonna find me a Jamaican spot to get some jerk chicken. You know what I mean? It is just what it is. I'm not going to a Jamaican spot for a roti because, full disclosure, confession, I've done it once. I bought a roti from a Jamaican spot when I first moved down to the Maryland area.
Mm-hmm. We didn't have much when we first moved down.
Right. Well, not when I first moved down. Let me take that back. It wasn't when I first moved down, but it was relatively early. And the bottom line is, I will never do it again. So I will never do it. And then the worst part is I mentioned it to Rusty, and he says, "Why would you even do that?" Like I was like, I don't know. I wasn't thinking, yo. I was hungry. I saw it on the menu. I don't know. So he was highly offended, and he's married to a Jamaican woman, and he's highly offended that I bought. So I would never do it again. I learned my lesson learned. I don't need to be bitten twice. Like lesson learned.
Super Bowl halftime show. The Weeknd performed. Thad, you and I spoke about it last week. We did. We said over under. It was going to be 1.5.
1.5.
And under. Then we said, okay, is it over under one song? We were like, ugh. And we're talking about songs from the trilogy or the 3 mixtapes he did before he blew up, and we're like, that one's tough. Well, the Weeknd did perform a part of House of Balloons. It was
instrumental.
It was intertwined, so we probably would have lost a bet in Vegas. But overall though, Thad, what was your from 1 to 10, with 10 being great, what would be your rating for the Weeknd's halftime show?
So we know it's not a 10.
Yeah, it's definitely not a 10.
No, it's not 10.
Definitely not a 10. I would say 8 for me because he did certain aspects to his performance that we've never seen on Super Bowl by any means. But a lot of it was the weird person that he is, you know what I'm saying? So, but I did love how they had the whole field to do what they did, you know what I'm saying? The performance took the whole field, and we've never had that at a Super Bowl, mostly because we ain't had nobody at the Super Bowl, but I think it was a great show. It was the sound guys messed that up for me a lot because you could, definitely in the beginning you could hardly hear him, but you could hear everybody else. And I'm like, yo, he's the performer. We're supposed to hear him. You know what I'm saying? We're not supposed to hear everybody else in the background or even the backing track that was playing also at times. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give it. No, you know what? I'm gonna give it like a 7.5. I'm 7.5.
That's
fair. Yeah.
Rich, what will be your rating?
4.5 to a 5.
Jeez.
Four and a half to a 5. Because so the things that you mentioned as minor things to me were big deals. Like,
no, I got you.
So like, but you have to remember, I am neutral on the Weeknd. Because I watched you guys last time. I realized you guys are fans.
Yes.
So like, if I were a fan of someone, I would be a less harsh critic. For me, I'm neutral. I don't like or dislike the Weeknd. I like some of his songs, but I'm not. So for me, I was not very entertained by his performance.
I got you.
Aspects of it were weird, and actually, part of like the costume design, the guys in the masks on the field, that was actually done by a Trini designer out of the band Yuma. So
for real? Okay.
Yeah. So there was even a little Caribbean pride interest in it, and it still didn't muster no more than a 4.5 to 5 for me.
I thought it was gonna jump you up like another number.
That's what got it to the 4.5, 5 for me. Like that was it. But that's just me. I did not enjoy it, and it also like with any Super Bowl performance, you compare it to in your mind to like the ones that you really enjoyed, and it just for me didn't compare to the ones that I really enjoyed. So,
definitely, I feel you on that.
So I'll say this, and just like Rich said, I am a huge fan of the Weeknd. Obviously, I may have some biases with what I'm saying. I think it's a solid 8. I do think Beyonce with Bruno Mars featuring Coldplay, not Coldplay featuring them, obviously is higher. I think Bruno Mars by himself, his performance was better. Even Prince was better. Beyonce with Destiny's Child was better, but I rate those higher.
So you're calling all of those 9s and 10s if you're giving them an 8.
Those are 9. Okay. Those are 8.5 and up. 8.5 and up.
Okay,
they're up. Like if you want to do a halftime show, like that's what you do.
You know who I give a 4 to?
Who?
The Who. When they had the Who at the halftime. Yeah, that's definitely a 4 right there.
That one was bad. That was bad. But it had me thinking, and I took a trip down memory lane this week.
Okay.
Had me thinking about another good one. Michael Jackson. Super Bowl 27 between the Cowboys and Buffalo Bills. It was at the Rose Bowl. And I'm telling you this story because I then remembered something that happened when I was young. Mind you, I am 5 years old when this game is going on. It's happening in late January, but we're not into Black History Month yet. Michael Jackson performs. You know, Michael Jackson, he wears his white dress shirt with his white undershirt, and he does his, the moonwalk and the crotch grabbing and whatnot. So we had a talent show at my school. Mind you, I am in kindergarten, but I didn't know about the talent show. This was an aftercare. And I got to give a shout out to my man, Perez. Perez was looking out for me since I've been in kindergarten. Perez was the first person I met at my school. Mind you, Perez is like 4 or 5 years older than me. But he was looking out for me. We were talking, and I was like, I'm trying to do the talent show. Perez tells me, why don't you say you're Michael Jackson in the talent show? So, mind you, I'm in kindergarten. I go up there and I start trying to dance like a kindergartner. I take off my because we had uniforms, private school. Take off my dress shirt and I have my undershirt. But then I grab my crotch and I start gyrating. Mind you, this is a private parochial school. The African lady was like, whoa. And I just remembered that, like, that hit me, and I said, that's why I was doing it, because Michael Jackson did it like 2 weeks prior, and I remembered that from the game. So I just remember that, man. So shout out to Perez, because he was, he was looking out for me, but not really looking out for me. Oh man, Gorilla Glue Girl.
Oh yeah,
Gorilla Glue Girl. For those that do not know, I'm gonna do a quick recap. Gorilla Glue woman from Louisiana went on social media and said, "Hey, I've had this hairstyle for over a month, and it's not by choice. I ran out of my hair glue and decided to use Gorilla Glue." She said, "My hair is stiff." And mind you, when I first saw it, I said, "Look, I think it's fake." I said, but it's still funny, because things on social media, even when it's fake, it still has.
It could still be funny, right?
Yeah. Like there's been things that have been obviously fake, and I was just like, oh, it's still funny. So I thought it was fake. It wasn't until like 2 days later, I'm seeing, okay, more and more people are talking about it. I'm like, hold on, what's going on with this? So people are now asking for updates, like, yo, what's happening with Gorilla Glue Girl? Like, is her hair straight? Like. She then puts out another post like, look, for you all saying that, this is fake. She went and got like a detangler, put it in her hair, and was like, look, nothing's happening.
Right.
She got a lot of publicity off of it. Doctors are now saying, hey, you probably need to use acetone to try and get it out. And the acetone may even burn your scalp, but you got to try it out. And so you can loosen the hair. So then you could probably cut it. Went on and on and on. She ended up going to the hospital. They tried to wash it out with everything they had. It didn't work. She's gotten money for a GoFundMe to get treatment, to try and get it done. Yesterday, I believe she got the hair, at least the ponytail cut. But even that the person who was doing it had to use a lot of acetone. And it was a lot of work just to cut the ponytail. So as of now, her hair is still pretty cemented. Now, she mentioned that she used Gorilla Glue because that was what she had. She's now contemplating litigation against the company.
Not contemplating. What I was told is she's suing them.
Okay, well, last I heard was they were contemplating.
Yeah.
I don't think y'all want me to respond to this.
Because he said the warnings never mentioned hair. It mentioned skin, but never hair. It also mentioned for outdoor external use. And it said, do not put on your body or skin, blah, blah, blah. Rich, you're saying now she is suing the company. The company put out a statement and said,
I thought she was, I believe, but
I know she definitely got a lawyer. Yeah, she definitely
got a lawyer.
She has a lawyer for sure.
And typically, when you get a lawyer, like they need to be paid somehow. So the whole point of getting the lawyer is you're seeking financial compensation. Otherwise, what would be the point, right?
Right.
So, Rich, I'm gonna start with you because I want to hear with that. I'm gonna leave him. Rich, man, this whole fiasco, man. What do you have to say about it?
This young lady, bless her heart, she's an idiot. I can't sugarcoat. I have no other, because you ran out of your hair care product, right? And you decide to use Gorilla Glue. Like, just the name itself, if you never heard of the product before, right? And I told you, hey, Jeremy, go grab me some of that Gorilla Glue out the closet. You would assume that this is some hardcore stuff. Like, you're about to glue two metal beams together. Like, at least I would. Just when I first heard of Gorilla Glue, I automatically assumed, no, this must be stronger than like super glue, right? So the thought of using that in your hair, on your body, in any way, should have never crossed her mind. So this notion of, well, I didn't know, or the warning label didn't say what. No, you, my dear, are you are an example of the survival of natural selection. Like you are survival of the fittest. Like you are one of those that probably is going to weaken the race by your continued survival. And I'm not advocating anything negative. I'm just saying, it's like a joke I saw from Hannibal Buress where someone, I'm going to make this short, someone did something stupid, and he was like, well, do you kill yourself or do I? Because we both can't exist with you being this stupid. Like, we both can't still be here. Like, one of us got to go. So that's how I feel. Those are my thoughts on Gorilla Glue, girl.
Dad, what you got to add to this?
Man, look, first of all, you ain't just find that bottle of Gorilla Glue at your house. Nothing about your house says I'm a carpenter, woodworker, nothing. Perfect. You had, and now mind you, it's not like you could just go to a random place and find this glue. You have to go to Lowe's, Home
it's heavy
Depot,
duty
in the carpenter woodwork section and find this.
Right.
Now, mind you, everything, just reading the label. Now, mind you, you saw it said Gorilla Glue. Are you telling me you didn't read anything on that didn't say this is permanent? You do understand what permanent means, ma'am. You know what I'm saying? Like it's Black History Month. And we seeing dumb stuff like this. It's like, yo, you really setting folks back just by your Gorilla Glue incident. And she said she didn't do it by choice. You put it in your hair. It was your choice to put it in your hair. Nobody else told you to put it in your hair. Right. You saw glue just off the dumbness, just saw glue. And hey, I'm going to put this in my hair. What? I can't, man. There's times where you're just like, we can't claim you.
Right.
We literally just can't claim you. Sorry, ma'am. That's one of the things. It's like, yo, see, those are Black Americans there. Yeah. We're just gonna leave you over there. Like we're Caribbean folks. We don't do stupid stuff like that. We do stupid stuff, but not like that. Not Gorilla Glue in our hair. Nah, it's not happening.
So I'll say this. Just like you all, I'm like, what was she thinking? Like, did you really think that this was going to work? Did you get confused somehow and you used this? Obviously you didn't get confused because you said you had to go look for this product,
right?
Because you ran out of your normal glue,
right? And so her normal product was called Gots to Be Glued Freezing Hairspray. So the word glue or glued is what really got it. That's the thing. The name of the product is Gots to Be Glued Freezing Hairspray. And that's what it's because I looked it up and the product says Gots to Be Glued Blasting Freeze Spray. So that's what it is. Wow. Yeah.
So it's not even really a glue.
It's not glue. It's not glue. It is a hairspray. It is a freeze hairspray. That's what it is. It just has the word glued in the title. And honestly, when you read it, it's like, I can't believe it's not butter, which is actually margarine. It's like, Gots to Be Glued. So
you put it that way.
You can't make this up. Yeah.
No, you can't. And you know when she went to Home Depot to go get it, she passed at least 15 hair places.
Right.
Where she could have got it. Where she could have got it.
She passed beauty supply stores, hair places, Target. She passed places that had what she needed.
Oh my goodness. But so I'll say this. It's such a clown behavior. But hey, like you said, it's Black History Month. Like the young great orator Young Dolph says, get paid, young nigga, get paid. If she's gonna get paid off of this, then
look,
power to you, man.
let me tell you something. I can end it with this one from me. If I am a juror on that, I'm telling her to kick rocks. Like she's not getting. It's not going to be unanimous. Like you're not. I don't think she'll get paid. I'll be honest with you. I don't think a judge, because I've been watching a lot of the stories from a lot of trademark lawyers and stuff, and they're saying, yeah, I don't think she has a case. She can claim whatever because there's another product called Gorilla Snot, which is like a hairspray, but it's not made by the same company, and the bottle doesn't look the same. And she's not even claiming she thought it was that. So it's like
right.
So even when you stretch it and say, hey, maybe it was this, she's not even claiming that. So I don't. If she gets paid, she caught the right judge and the right set of jurors to get some bread, or the company just felt sorry for her and cut her a check. But
I just found it funny that they got on Twitter. It was like, hey, we've been following this story. We've been following this story. And we just wanted to say we are so glad that she got medical help. And I started dying laughing because you could have taken medical help as she needs mental help.
Like she clearly needed to talk to someone, and I'm glad she's getting the help she needed because you got to be crazy to go from gots to be glued to Gorilla Glue. Something gots to be wrong with you at that point. So.
Oh man, let's now get to Black history and sports to wrap up the show. Last week we spoke about some notable first times when it comes to Black people within the sports world. Many of us know obviously about Jackie Robinson, first Black baseball player in the major league, but let's also not forget I think it's Clint Doby of the Cleveland baseball team. I was about to call them by their nickname that they have. But yes, he was the first to win a World Series on a team for the Cleveland baseball team. Let's also remember Wilma Rudolph. We mentioned her last week, but we forgot to mention Jesse Owens, 5-time world record holder in track. Also won gold in Nazi Germany in front of Hitler. So that was a great accomplishment, not just dealing with the racism in the United States, had to deal with racism on a grand stage in the belly of, if you could say super racism, like the King Kong of racism at that time, Adolf Hitler. Yeah, Jesse Owens, who ended up winning gold in that Olympic Games. Jack Johnson, first Black heavyweight boxing champion of the world. He unfortunately dealt. Do you know much about Jack Johnson, then?
I've heard of him. I haven't seen his fights or anything like that. Like I haven't had the time to go and watch clips of him, but I've heard about him over the years, of course.
He was obviously known for for boxing, but also was known for, unfortunately, wild laws on the books in the United States. He was arrested and incarcerated for basically sleeping with white women, and they got him on that. Like basically he crossed state lines with a white
He did it. He was a lot of firsts then. That was the first case of desegregation.
Yes,
in sports.
Right.
He still was able to come back and win. And in 2018, he was actually pardoned by your boy Donald Trump.
You are fake news.
So yeah, he was officially pardoned back in 2018. Other other accomplishments in Black history within sports. Fritz Pollard was the first Black player in the NFL in 1920. Also, Bobby Marshall was with him during that time. And then there was a long gap before you ended up having the next Black player. But Fritz Pollard was also the first recognized Black coach in NFL history. So we have that. We also have Clifford Sifford, the first Black golfer on the PGA Tour, which then allowed and paid the way for eventually one of the greatest golfers of all time, Tiger Woods. By the way, have y'all seen the Tiger documentary yet?
I have
I,
not.
I heard about it, and I heard he had nothing to do with it at all. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to look at it.
Oh yeah, if he wasn't involved, then
he was not involved. But I heard it's really, really good. The stuff that they said. Let's
Probably
just
lots of slander and
right.
Probably not slander.
Like, well, you know what it is. You want to hear what his take on it was, so you can see if they did an accurate portrayal. If he's not happy with it, that's typically when they do stuff like I like to hear what the actual person has to say. Did they do a good job, or is it like
Arthur Ashe became the first black tennis player to win 3 Grand Slam titles on the men's side. Won the U.S. Open in 1968, the Australian Open in 1970, and Wimbledon in 1975. Gabby Douglas, first black gymnast to win individual all-around championship in the Olympics. Yes, she was the first to win all around. Now, obviously, we have Dominique Dawes, who was on the U.S. Olympic team and got team gold. We also, unfortunately, man, I feel bad that I'm forgetting this woman's name, but she unfortunately passed away just like a week and a half ago. The first black U.S. gymnast. Man, I'm gonna try and look that up real quick. First black U.S. gymnast. Unfortunately, yeah, I think she passed away last week. Diane Durham, yes, first black U.S. women's gymnastic champion. Sorry, and she did win. She died at the age of 55 just last week. So Diane Durham is a trailblazer for blacks within sports. That will wrap it up for this week's Black History Moments in Sports. Before we get out of here, Rich, let everyone know where they can follow you, where they can watch the podcast, listen to the podcast, let people know.
You can find me individually at I am Rich McLeod. That's MCLEOD. I am Rich McLeod on Instagram. And the podcast is Guys Unpacked. That is Guys Unpacked on all social media platforms, and Guys Unpacked on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. It is GUYS Unpacked. Catch us live once a week, discussing all the craziness that's happening in the world. Yeah, that's basically it.
Rich, I want to say thank you for coming on. Next time when you come on, I would like to have a conversation about, because of dealing with your profession, just about everything surrounding your profession. So when that time comes, we would like to have a conversation about that.
Oh, not a problem.
Yep.
And thank you guys for having me.
No problem.
You know,
Thad, thank you for everything that you do. I want to give a shout out to OSS 980, Other Side of Sports, with Harold, D, Jeff, Aaron, Soggy Nachos, Shut Your Face. Curls and Sports returned with her podcast, so make sure you check it out. The Curls and Sports podcast. The We Ain't Got Our Shit Together podcast is pretty good too. What You Expect, 4th and 13. Rich, you from New York, but
yeah,
you familiar with much of Long Island? Are you familiar with Long Island, over there?
A little bit. I'm from Brooklyn, so I've been to Long Island a couple of times.
I believe Elmont is somewhere on Long Island, in the beginning. Is that? Do you know? Have you heard of Elmont?
I've heard of Elmont.
Okay, yeah. So 4th and 13 is with Rios and J Bobby. Is that Long Island? Is Elmont Long Island? I don't
think so.
Is it another borough?
I think it's Long Island.
Part of another borough. I don't know.
Yeah, that's Long Island. Yeah.
Hey, you think it's Long Island? I thought it was Long Island too. But yeah, 4th and 13. Maybe check them out, Rich. They some New York boys that are pretty good and pretty successful at what they do. I want to give a shout out to all of our businesses that we support: Ming Raina's, Doll Parts, Eat the City DC, Trezzo Beach, the Sandbox, and all of our faithful listeners. I want to say thank you for everything that you do. Until next time, everyone. Sports reality. Peace.
Peace.
Later.